Hi, I'm Dr. Gemma, and welcome back to Cognitive, the Knitting Psychology podcast. Cheerfully and somewhat irregularly in business since 2008. Segments today may include what's on my hooks, needles, and spindles, a strategy, something I really like, put a lid on it, oh shoot, and blather. So sit back, put your feet up, pick up your knitting, crocheting, spinning, weaving, or dyeing, or any other yarny thing you're doing, and get ready to enjoy. Well, hi, it's Dr. Gemma, and this is episode 238 of the Cognitive Podcast. And I think it's kind of important to tell you that I'm recording this on Sunday evening, June 15th, at 5:53 p.m. It is Father's Day as I record this here in the United States. I'm doing that because in the show notes, I really hope you will go take a look because somebody put up a very good graphic, and it is a map of the city of Los Angeles. And a few things I would like you to know because I'm getting a lot of concerned comments. First off, I do not live in the city of Los Angeles. I live up in the desert to the northeast of it. So I am not in any kind of hot zone. But if you look at the graphic in the show notes, you will see on that map a little tiny red circle. That is where there have been protests in Los Angeles. So we're not some kind of war zone. We're standing together and we're trying to stand up for our neighbors. There are reasons that the current political regime, wants to exaggerate this because this allows for an agenda of bringing in the military against peaceful citizens and imposing martial law. There is a curfew at this time. The curfew is affecting 1 square mile. The city of Los Angeles takes 402 square miles. So this means 0.02%. 2/100ths of the people of Los Angeles County are affected right now by a curfew. So what you'll see if you go to the Ask Los Angeles subreddit or any of the subreddits for LA, you will see people saying, where is this happening? I'm just going about my normal life. Okay. I'm really saying this also for people outside the state of California and outside our country, that is the USA, that please don't go into the hype any more than you have to. And I'm going to try to get back to a normal episode now. But I really wanted to address that because I'm very warmed and gratified by all the expressions of concern I've gotten this week. You may notice in places where they post marked safe from such and such, there isn't a marked safe from the LA protests because we're really not unsafe as far as I can tell, the vast majority of us. And I'm not going to comment on it beyond that, I expect. Your comments, meanwhile, are welcomed. Please comment on our blog at cognitivepodcast.blogspot.com or on our group on Ravelry. Right now, I am not adding you to any of my follower groups because of robo-accounts and harassment from the conservatives. I just am not doing that. You can contact me through the group on Ravelry or through the blog. Meanwhile, let's get on to the warm thanks, okay? I want to thank Chris and Sal Powell for two of the most charming posts I've seen in a while. They saw my show notes before I posted episode 237, and they both burst into warm memories that they have around handkerchiefs, which was just the sweetest thing. If you want to read the comments, they're over, I believe, in the show notes on the Ravelry group. But thank you. I really, really enjoyed that. And I was talking about in episode 237, I kept talking about my handkerchiefs and how I had to, burst into tears 237 times. That was about the graduation, in case I wasn't clear. I also want to thank Turbo Gal, who just came straight out and said kind things about the graduation. The weather was perfect. We live in Southern California. It was really as beautiful and as good as it can be. It was in the early evening. It was cool and comfortable for all of us. it was just a beautiful experience. And thank you again for all the kind comments about it in my various follower groups, which leads me to thank my community in this group, people listening to the podcast here on the ground in the Santa Clarita Valley, on Reddit, and on Finch. And I'm sorry, particularly the Finch people, because I can't necessarily tell who all you are, the people who have friended me, but I really do appreciate it. And if you're wondering, yes, I actually do try to send out good morning and sweet dreams messages every day, because I just love the idea that I can do that easily, and it's just a little, I don't know, personal touch. It's just kind of kind. And you can see a picture of my two burbs. One lives on my iPad mini, the other lives on my iPhone. Forthright and Courage, from left to right there. They are hanging out together in Rome in that picture, and they're eating cold foods. One has an ice cream cone, and one has boba. And you should be aware, if they're in Rome, that is gelato, not ice cream, that Forthright is holding. If you're paying attention to the Finch pictures, you'll notice they both got a bit of a makeover. You can change their colors when you reach adulthood. So I've been purchasing colors and enjoying changing their colors. I know it's just goofy. Meanwhile, Cognitive Fiber Retreat 11, it is scheduled for October 11th, 2025. Mark your calendars. If you would like to teach a class or lead any kind of group, please let me know. You can reach me, again, through the show notes or on our Ravelry group. You can also reach me in my Ravelry email. So let's get on to what's on my hooks and needles, shall we? Well, I couldn't resist trying another emotional support chicken, so I did. And this time I used sock yarn scraps. So you can see a picture there. That is Jenny Penny, because she came out a little cross-eyed. I don't think I lined up the eyes as well as I would have liked to have. But anyway, there is Jenny Penny. And in honor of my cross-eyed friend Jenny, what can I tell you? And I got a big kick out of her. Yes, I used size 1.5 knitting needles, American, and she came out really, really nicely. I changed up the way I stuffed her, and now I will change back. That this time I left the tummy panel off till the very end, and as I sewed it up, I stuffed her, and that worked okay. But I kind of really like just the whole balance of the thing when I did it the way the actual pattern says. You may see it a little hard to see her beak because it's in a darker brown, because that's what I had in my sock yarns. But I'm really happy about getting another ESC done. There is a picture of her by herself, and you can see her beak a little bit more. So I gave myself a skein of yarn on her. So in the stash toss, 56 in, 26 out, and no new yarn purchases, which is a big hooray. I haven't really worked on much of anything else because I just enjoyed getting through her, but I am crocheting on the September sweater now because I had to kind of rediscover how to do the herringbone half double crochet, because I was doing it and then I realized I'm not doing it. I'm doing actually a full double crochet, or if you're British, a treble. And you can see it on the second panel. And the other mistake I made, I had already started the second big panel and didn't realize it. So now I had two starts, and one of them was all in double crochet, Americans. So I pulled that one out and went back, and it took me a while because in the actual instructions for the September sweater, I'm sorry, but her instructions, the pattern writer, her instructions for how to do the herringbone half double, that's a treble crochet, or that's, an American double crochet. So I went back and I found the herringbone and realized I must have already done this because it matched perfectly with the stitches I had on the second panel that I started. So I am working my way now through the September sweater as my kind of popcorn knitting, except it's popcorn crochet. And I am enjoying it. It is my train project, but I have not been on a train this week. You can also see a picture of Jenny Penny, the sock yarn emotional support chicken. You can see a picture of her in her flat and unfinished state, because I wanted to show you that again. I think it's important when you're making these to realize they change a lot when you start sewing them up and stuffing them. They look quite different flat. They're really quite charming flat. They look like something off an Amish graphic. So I really quite like that. No work on anything else except in Dizzy Blondes. I am still spinning the endless braid of camel hair silk. Frankly, if I was just sticking with it a little more routinely, I'd probably be done the thing and be on to spinning the beautiful kumquat colored fiber, the BFL that I got from Lisa Souza. So, hang in there with me. It's just a spinning project. I am having unpleasant experiences with my allergies this week, so I really do want to get this baby finished. My spinning currently is using the Electric Eel 6.1. So let's get on to a strategy. Well, kids, it's been a hard week here. Mostly it's been a hard weekend, I have to be honest. We had some terrible events in the United States. And by that I mean an assassination that was successful, 2 assassinations, husband and wife, and then an attempted assassination on another husband and wife. And the murderer is still at large. And yeah, you can imagine the hullabaloo going on there. And I will get back to that a little bit later, but we also had enormous protests yesterday. We had the No Kings protests. And I really just want to thank everybody who was involved. It was very important that we did this. And I have no idea what the number of people was that were involved, but look at the videos. It's enormous. I was very proud of my home city of Philadelphia because that's the largest thing I've ever seen Philadelphia do. But all of these images really warmed my heart. It was an astonishing experience. So if you're in America right now, you're probably feeling, after this weekend, overwhelmed and stressed out and disturbed. And you have to remember that underneath it all, we just keep going. That to let yourself get eaten alive by current events emotionally is not going to help anyone. There are good ways to help the people who need help, okay? But falling apart or giving up or being hateful, if you think this is all good, none of that is going to help anybody, including yourself. That if nothing else, please, one day at a time, one thing at a time. There is a reason I'm pushing the Finch application right now. That's not a coincidence. That's what's really helped me get organized and back on the track because I've been very distressed by current events in my home country. And so, I'm going to tell you that we are doing okay. We're still hanging on. And meanwhile, you keep going. You keep taking care of your families, keep your attention focused on what's around you, on the people you love, and staying safe and keeping them safe. And yes, please do it however you can or have to. I want to especially do a call out on my colleagues in healthcare because we're especially going through it because of our fears and concerns for our patients and our colleagues and sometimes even the staffs of where we are working. This is a high-stress time for us. I am deeply, deeply grateful that in my job I'm able to work from home because this is amazingly high stress, is all I can say about it. I don't want to harp on this, but I do want to say, please do not enlarge, do not catastrophize. If you are sitting in Portland, Oregon, do not freak out over what's going on in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. No offense, Baton Rouge. I'm just picking something out of a hat here. Okay, please keep in mind, you will be most effective on a local level. And the most local level and the most important in any culture is the family. So please talk to your kids in age-appropriate terms. Try to keep a grip on what they are seeing in the news. Please do not give them unmonitored access to the internet. Please be prepared to explain to them that you're going to keep them safe, that where you are right now is safe. I'm making a big assumption in some cases there, I realize. But please work on keeping the family normal, keeping your life regulated, keeping your habits on track. The places this is really going to count are eating and moving. Okay, that when we get anxious, humans eat to comfort ourselves. And in America, we have a lot of addictive foods that further this, including all the processed carbohydrates and chemical foods, okay? So this is the time to eat healthy. This is the time to regulate your eating. You don't say, I'm really stressed, so I get to eat this candy bar. Don't do that. You're really stressed, it's time to stick to a really healthy, balanced diet, okay? You have to keep doing that. And I would say the same about exercise. You don't sit in the house unless you have to, because that is real for some people right now. But if you can, you get out, you get fresh air, and you keep on your routine and your schedule as best you can. Okay? And you work through all of this one day at a time. So tomorrow morning, I plan to get up and go for my customary 2 to 3 mile run, whatever I'm doing right now, because that's a little bit up in the air. I'll come back to that and I'll shoot. But anyway, I will get up, I will do that. I will go to work. I will talk to my regular patients. I will do what I have to do and comfort the people I have to comfort. And I will take care of my family as best I can. Okay, please just keep going one step at a time, one day at a time, and keep your efforts local right now. This does not mean I'm discouraging you from things like the protests that happened yesterday, Saturday in the U.S. I'm very, very proud of the thousands of people who turned out to do those protests. Okay, but please keep that where it belongs, that now we all go back to work and we try to keep our world going. Please don't let this get to you. If it is getting to you, yes, that's not all that surprising, and it means you have to ramp up the self-care as best you can. Having said all that, my Finch app ID is there, and if you need to start doing a to-do list, I live on them. I've been talking about to-do lists for years with you all, but if you need a good to-do list that's fun to play with, there you go. There's my Finch app number. In Green Fingers, well, I'm kind of overrun with work right now, so I have not been planting, and I'm losing plants now that I didn't plant, which is really depressing. And we had a heat wave, and that hurt everybody a lot. So I'm out there watering. The instructions say 1 time a week. I think we're up to 3 times a week to keep everybody hanging on. Some of the creeping time is actually rooting and seems to be spreading. Most of it is just sitting there, trying to drink water and looking a bit sad. My Texas salvia, my Russian sage, they have flowered a bit, but they're drying out too, so we're working on it. Been kind of tough. So let's get on to shoot, shall we? Well, I didn't really do any LA hiking this weekend. That Saturday morning we had the Sugar Daddy 5K, my son and I will come back to that. And Sunday we went out and celebrated Father's Day. And so I've been puttering all weekend. So meanwhile, on Saturday, I did do a 5K. So I have been exercising. Today, I wanted to recover from it. The nice news is, using my 5K app, it's literally called 5K. And it's a running app from 0 to 5K in, I think, 8 weeks. I'm up to now 28 minutes nonstop. I'm really finished the app. It's really trying to get you to run for 30 minutes. Back in the good old days, that would have been a 5K for me. I'm getting old, guys. Okay, but I am now running the 28 minutes nonstop. I'm very pleased about that. Really, the goal was to get myself back as close to a 5K easily as I could after that last race about a month ago, which I managed to run it all, but it just about killed me the next few days. Today, I'm not sore at all. Had a really good run yesterday. So that went very, very nicely. You can see a picture of me standing there in my running gear showing off because I realized I got the wrong size t-shirt from one of my previous races. It's a size down from what I usually wear, and it fits me perfectly comfortably. In fact, that picture was taken after I did my run, I think on Friday or Thursday. So I am a pretty happy camper because apparently I'm down another shirt size. Meanwhile, I'll talk about the race itself under the blather, but a good time was had by all. And yes, I did add the Turkey Trot on November 29th to my race schedule. This is the one I did last year in Santa Clarita. Most of my races are on the same courses over and over again, and that's really nice because it means it's easy to train in between them. In the meantime, you can see my upcoming race list with a few graphics and photos from them, which is exciting. Right now we are looking forward to the red, white, and blue 5K on July 6th. And I think we don't have anything in August, seems to me. Yeah, that from there. Oh, no, we do. We have the Mountain Gallop in Tehachapi. So this will be a lot of fun. Okay. Meanwhile, on to the fluffy books. Well, fortunately, I finished listening to The Convenient Marriage and also to the end of The Tollgate, I think it's called, by Georgette Heyer, because I really like The Tollgate, even though I'm getting the name confused, whether it's Toll Booth or Tollgate. And The Convenient Marriage, not so much, but I did get a lot more out of The Convenient Marriage. And I realized there's a lot more comedy there than I had caught the first time around. Part of the humor is that The Convenient Marriage is not. It's just inconvenient for everybody. It upsets the affair that the Earl involved is having. And of course it shows him how petty his partner in the affair is. And it also shows him that he has not finished an old rivalry that was about his sister being hijacked by a jerk who he fortunately rescues the sister. And yes, it is a May-December relationship, sort of. I mean, he's 35 and I think she's 17. It's a little grim. I'm not real big on that kind of thing, because I know who I was at 35 and I know who I was at 17. That's a little gross. But the point is that everything they do gets them into more and more scrapes, as Heyer likes to call it. I assume that's a term used at the time of the Regency. And it's easy when you read it the first time to see it all being on the girl's side. And you begin to realize as time goes on, no, the Earl himself has to keep correcting for things that go wrong. And many of the things he's correcting for are based on his own actions. Now, he's very calm and organized because he's mature compared to the heroine. And so he corrects things reasonably smoothly. Like, he always sounds like he's in control. And reading it the second time or listening to it, you realize he's not. That he has to do all this damage repair on his own life because he marries this 17-year-old. And he's marrying the 17-year-old because his heir is this fop who's a total jerk. And he decides that he really should create an heir, that he owes it to his name and his title, the house of the earldom, not to leave it to this jerk. And, of course, the jerk comes in and he gets his own back, which is really nice. And we have one of those weird duels that Heyer likes to have people do, in which the hero could kill his opponent, but spares him, and then the opponent does some strangely decent actions at the end. Because I guess if somebody whacks you around enough with a sword, maybe it jams some sense in your head. I don't know. Now, the Tollgate I really like. And I like it all the way through because the hero is a thinking man. And everybody mistakes him for being reckless, Crazy Jack, as he's called in the military. And he's not. As at one point he says, I like things to be in order. And I don't leave the job till everything is arranged. And it's this kind of love at first sight story. And it's very funny because he and the woman are physically similar in that they're both very tall and very strong. And she's emotionally very strong. And he's also physically strong. And it's just enjoyable. Toll Booth, Tollgate, I don't remember. Toll Booth or Tollgate. I'm sitting here, I could look it up. I'm not going to. But I really enjoy it. It's one of my favorite Heyer books. Meanwhile, I've been listening to My Lady Jane, which is morbidly funny. I can take that for a while. It is a smart book. It's just hard for me to hear the historical people just getting yanked into new directions. I don't know why. It is a good book, and it is very, very beautifully written. Now, last night I started Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. This came highly recommended to me. And I didn't like it. I started listening to it while I was knitting one night, and I just couldn't get into it. I hated the reader. The reader is not as bad as I remember, but she seems to think that since the format includes writing that is supposed to be academic writing, she seems to think that you read that in this nasal kind of annoying tone. However, I've got to tell you, it is great because it puts me right to sleep. Not that the material is that boring. The book's actually pretty engaging. The reader is. Do I think she's a terrible reader? No. But I would have to say I just don't like her approach to this kind of book. The other kind of wonderful thing that happened, by the way, this week, speaking of things I'm reading and listening, there is an archive called Archive of Our Own, and it decided to archive all the fan fiction from the Harry Potter archive that I had written 2 stories for. And they contacted me and said, here you go. So I got my 2 stories back, and I had written these literally 20 years ago. I was amazed, and so I thought, well, let's see what kind of writer I am. Okay, I could not put them down. I did not remember them. My style is surprisingly good. Now, these aren't my characters, but I'm just writing these fill-in-the-gaps in the Harry Potter books kind of stories. But they're really, really quite good. So that was a relief. So I got those back. They're now sitting on one of my Kindles and also in my own archive of my online material that I'm slowly backing up to hard drive, as you know. So anyway, that was a nice surprise. I actually am a pretty decent fiction writer. Something I really like, well, the demonstrations, the No Kings demonstrations. I want to thank everybody who went out and demonstrated. I really can't talk about this too much, but I really appreciate what you did. I really do. I think it was heroic. So thank you again for going to those protests. Things I didn't like. I tried the Habitica app. This is the word habit followed by AICA. And this is a Finch type of app, but instead of being like a dollhouse where you dress up a bird, this is a sort of Dungeons and Dragons type of game. And I think if I was into that kind of game, I would like Habitica more. It's a very popular app. To me, it felt very, very clunky, though. That what bothered me was not so much the game, but the way you make goals. I felt like the goals were kind of pre-programmed and they kept pushing you towards certain goals. And I think Finch gives you a lot of leeway to just design individual goals. The other thing I saw this week was Asana, which is a work management app that helps you with scheduling. It's kind of like if you took the Apple apps for calendar and the to-do list and the notes and kind of jammed them all together. And I was looking at that because my husband wanted my son to use it. And I was looking at it and said, I really could do this just as well on Apple's suite of apps that come with the iPhone. And someone said that on Reddit as well. So Asana and Habitica did not work very well for me as efficiency apps. That doesn't mean they're no good. It's just not my cup of tea. I'm really happy with Finch. All I want is a big to-do list. And I use Finch and do all my to-do stuff. And I do put alarms on the phone for various things. And I put them on my calendar as well. But I don't seem to need this other stuff. Meanwhile, the back episodes on Proton, we have episodes 101 to 140 of the original series are up for the month of June. And you can click the link and get to them. I could not fit 141 to 150. As I've said before, I'm going to work my way through all the old episodes that I have. I'm missing a few, but not very many. And then after that, I will circle back for the original series and then probably go on to the new series. Put a lid on it, nothing much, except tonight my husband discovered the air fryer, which was very, very sweet. He made chicken legs in the air fryer and really fell in love with it, and they came out great. So the happy news is, I suppose this is something I really like too, our air fryer. We are using an Instant Pot with the air fryer lid attachment and its various implements. Like it has a special pot that you put inside the main silver pot to cook in. We're using that and we're really happy with it. So that was that. Meanwhile, yes, I continue to carry Ketorade's recipe because I'm so afraid you're all just going to pass out in the heat. And this all brings us to the blather. So Father's Day 2025 was just very nice. We got up this morning and I told my husband that I was removing all power from his hands because every time you ask him what he wants, he gives these neutral answers. So we took him out to Lazy Dog. And I think we all kind of realized we probably should have gone to Cheesecake Factory instead. We all would have been happier nonetheless. We went to Lazy Dog and it was a decent meal. It was pleasant. And then I gave him his presents and my son gave him his. And I gave him the Father's Day Emergency Dad Kit, which involved books and a little kit with dad jokes and a hat that says Cool Dad. And he needs to wear a hat and he won't. And he's a little thin on the top with the hair. He's got a nice head of hair. He's not bald or anything, but a little thin on the top. And I'm worrying about that he's burning his scalp. Anyway, all the kind of things you worry about, So that was very sweet. And then we all came home and we've been hanging out. My son continues as the chorus line guy in The Music Man. We're into the mandatory rehearsals in the theater, and this coming week we have the shows. The boycotts, we continue the boycotts, and there's nothing new to say there. I continue to carry the hotline for LGBTQ plus people that is set up by the Canadians for Americans who have lost their hotlines. And I did the Sugar Daddy 5K, and I told you about that. You can see the pictures in the blather section. I'm really happy, though, because I'm not sore today. Yesterday, I came home from this, and I eventually poured myself into a warm bath full of Epsom salts and nice Japanese bath salts and laid there for a long, long time. But you can see I did 3.27, and that 15-minute mile there, 15 minutes and 19 seconds, that includes the first 5 minutes were walking, and I didn't walk. I stood still. So when I started running, I think I was doing 14 or 13-minute miles because that time is based on standing still for 5 minutes. And I walked for about 1 minute in the middle to reset my running program just to track the time and distance because my running program was only for 30 minutes and I was out there a bit longer, as you can tell from that timer. And so I had to reset it to catch all the time. So there you can see that's week 8, day 2. And then I'm on to week 8, day 3, which is run 30 minutes. And that's great, but that'll take me over 2 miles, but it won't take me to 3.1. So I'm thinking I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to start the Bridge to 10K program. The thing about the Bridge to 10K is I have no plans to run a 10K. I'm really happy at 5K because I'm really too slow to run the longer races. I'll be out there too long. I don't really want to do it. So anyway, there is the Sugar Daddy 5K, and you can see my son and I'm holding up the medal in the first picture, just me alone. It's a pretty gruesome little medal, I gotta say. I think it's an ice cream truck or a candy truck or something. Yeah, but there's my son and I. He's eating his ice cream there. He's wearing it in the third picture, but there we are together. And there is the course. And the reason I'm showing you that is not really coherent. No, if you look at that picture, you will see there's an S in the bottom left of the red line that is the course. That is our start. Everybody started there. And you have to go to the left and up, and you follow it. And there's a faint blue line, that's us. And you'll see as you follow that up away from the riverbed, there is almost right away this thing that says turnaround, like a little turnaround arrow. That's us. All the rest of that, that's the 10K, that's the half marathon. It's all jammed in there together. So no, but it is interesting to me because you can see the differences there between a 5K, a 10K, and a half marathon. And no, I don't think I'm ever doing more than a 5K for the rest of my running career because I'm just too dead slow. And yeah, I could train up to these distances, but it's going to take too much time that I don't have. Maybe when I retire, right? I'll be the only 67-year-old who starts running half marathons. Half marathon, if you didn't know, 13.1 miles. 5K, 3.1, 10K, 6.2. And underneath this, you can find the community resources, the books I've used around my knitting and crocheting and whatnot skills. You can see our calendar for the fibery events in the Santa Clarita Valley. And then you can see my calendar, and the next thing coming up, July 4th weekend off. So June 28th, after I finish work, we will be heading to Ventura. We will be there for, I think, 4 nights. And then you can see the next race is going to be during that time. It will be July 6th. This is the Red, White, and Blue 5K. Obviously, it's meant for July 4th. And I like this because it's Better World running. No shirt involved. So I've already got my shirt. I'm holding it until I run this race. Then I'll be able to release that shirt to myself. And I'm really happy about that. And I'm happy too because I know this course and I really, really like it. This is a very pleasant run on a fairly shady course. Otherwise, you would never get me out on any kind of asphalt during that week. And I'm pretty sure they're going to start it at 7. So hopefully we'll get out there before it gets too brutal. And the problem with running on asphalt, of course, at that time of year is that the asphalt just heats up. So your feet are getting baked while you run. This is another reason I stay at 5Ks locally. And you can see the rest of my schedule there. It's all very nice. And, of course, CFR 11th is on October 11th, 2025. And Minerva gets the last word. And Minerva and I both felt that this weekend, because of everything that's been happening here in America, that we wanted to pay our respects to the people of the state of Minnesota. We grieve the loss by assassination of former Speaker of the Minnesota House, Melissa Hortman, and her husband, Mark. And we also hope and pray and grieve for Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette, who are also shot by the same killer, although they're apparently alive. And we are hoping that this guy gets caught very soon. We're grateful beyond measure as a result of this for the thousands of Americans who protested this week. But especially we are grateful to the people of Minnesota who, even though their protest was canceled, they still went in their thousands. And they had the guts to stand in front of the State House in St. Paul, even though they were warned that this was now too dangerous a thing to do. And the event itself had officially been canceled. So Minerva and I would like to thank the people who have been brave and to express our grief that we have this kind of political assassination going on in the current regime. Please, everybody, remember, we are a community. And when we act in the interests of the community, we are preserving the rights of the individual. And on that note, everybody, please stay safe, take care of each other, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye. So we have come to the end of another episode of Cognitive. Please do not use this podcast to diagnose yourself. If you think you are having a mental health problem, please contact a licensed mental health professional. Show notes for these episodes can be found at cognitivepodcast, all one word, .blogspot.com. Episodes can be found at iTunes under the name Cognitive Podcast, but also can be found posted next to the show notes on the Blogspot page. Thank you so much for listening. Everybody, stay safe, take care of each other, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.